What word, man? We popping. Put on, look, put on. Yours too.
There are countless reasons why people and fans around the world are pumped and wildly excited to celebrate 50 years of hip-hop music. Let's dive into why this anniversary is huge. It all kicked off in the Bronx, 1973. A DJ by the name of Kool Herc spun records at a local party. And after that night, the world and music was never the same. Hip-hop was born out of struggle, creativity, and raw emotion. Critics called it a fad, said it promoted violence. But the artists, they were storytellers, poets of the streets. Fast forward to today, legends like Grandmaster Flash, Tupac, and Snoop Dogg, they've got stars on Hollywood's Walk of Fame because of their authentic talent. Hip-hop isn't just music, it's a movement, and in its infancy stage, it became a voice for the voiceless. From breakdancing to graffiti, it's a culture that's influenced fashion, language, and even global politics. 5 decades strong, rap music continues to evolve, inspiring new generations of artists and making history. More recognized and imitated than any other genre of music. This is 50 years and counting, the legacy of hip-hop culture.
Mamá, párate, which is like.
Actor Elvis Nolasco grew up watching hip-hop history unfold right in his backyard. The New York native, along with some of his childhood friends, would find themselves being more than just intrigued by the dynamics of a growing culture. The beats, the rhymes, the energy, it was more than just music. For Elvis, it was a foundation. He soaked in this new wave of music, felt the rhythm, and let it guide him. From the streets to the stage, hip-hop became his muse. It pushed him to explore performing arts, tapping into his own creativity and raw talent.
Getting interested in breakdancing, a lot of it had to do with my grandmother picking me up from junior high school. Okay. We would walk down Amsterdam. What got me was one going to school with them, and coming up in that same time period, right, where this evolution of hip hop, DJing, rap, graffiti. My boy Poke Morales, he was one of the first graffiti artists, along with George Zen One Murillo. They were both part of the IBM crew, along with Norman Scott, also known as Norm Ski. So we all went to Jones Park. And just being able to have my grandmother just wait, for whatever, 5, 10, 15 minutes, was everything, because I would watch Prince Ken Swift, do his footwork. I would always ask my grandma, Mama, párate, which is like, stop right here. And it was right here where I would see all the Rocksteady crew members just hanging out. Freeze, Crazy Legs, Buck 4, Kuriaki, Baby Love, aka Daisy Castro, who was in my class. And that's what got me interested and involved, in breakdancing. And I would watch these cats and I would study visually the moves, but it was all here, man. And everywhere you went in the Upper West Side, it was just breakdancing. Whether you were at Lasker's rink in the swimming pool in the summer or ice skating in the winter, it was just the move. It was just the vibe. It came up in the whole Reaganomics, AIDS, crack cocaine era. But the funding for the arts wasn't as fruitful or as they should be. So a lot of us growing up, we needed to do something to be creative, to escape. And kudos to the pioneers, Africa Bambaataa, Kool Herc, Rocksteady Crew, the pioneers, man, that really set the tone and put this new creativity, into something really positive. George and Polk, Prince Ken Swift, Norm Ski, these cats, for me, growing up with them and watching them and going to the same school is really what gave me my start into the art world, into the art and to the creative world. And breakdancing for me was just everything at one point in my life. So I took the breakdancing that I learned here and I took it up to Washington Heights. We had our own little crew with the SSR crew, Soul Sonic Rockers. Everybody was Soul Sonic did this, Soul Sonic that. It was just a time period. Because you make me think about Blondie, and the song Rapture. And how it was the very first song to introduce rap. Style, and you had Crush Groove, and you had Beat Street. I remember as a kid, watching Crazy Legs and Ken Swift on the David Letterman show. I think that was like '83. And I grew up being a big David Letterman fan. I don't know why or how, but maybe it has something to do with the fact that here are the guys that I'm growing up and watching in my neighborhood, and they on David Letterman. Ken Swift in the audience, applaud. And there they were, busting the move, doing routines. It was just really undeniable because my playground was the 5 boroughs of New York City. Because as a young kid, we knew how to ride the train, we knew how to take the L into, and it's like, if we're not being provided the resources, we're going to have to figure out a way, to be creative and express a lot of what we're going through. And that's what the hip hop, generation meant for us. Your linoleum and your cardboard and your shoebox, and you're getting money for what you're doing, or whether you're doing it battling other crews. It was just something that it was very creative. We went from hey, you Rocksteady Crew, music video and song, who hurt, Africa Bambaataa, who saw a lot of what the violence was and senseless, and you still see that today. A lot of senseless violence and all of this energy that we don't know where to put it. And kudos to them for coming together and doing these parties in the rec centers. There was so much violence going on in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, because of a turning of times. It's whether you were in the Bronx, and the Bronx is burning, and you have all of these abandoned buildings being burnt down. You have all these kids that don't know what to do with themselves, so they have these mattresses, in these broken down, burned down buildings, and this is their playground, And here we are in 2023 talking about breakdancing being in the Olympics. And where it came from, right here.
Right here.
If I set it up and I give you too much info, you're gonna come in. You're gonna come in here.
You give me 5 minutes.
That's it. Yo,
That's the
right here. The man, the legend, George Sen1, SEN1,
Yeah.
Murillo, my Dominicano.
And the legend, Elvis, the B-boy.
Yeah, the B-boy, the graffiti artist, IBM. So that's what I was letting them know. We grew up at Jonah Bar. A time in history, man, where we all came together. In that same school, Dino Rock, Baby Love, Daisy Castro, we were in the same class.
Even Ken Swift went to Jonah Bar.
And Swift.
Famous. And Giuliani, I was part of the gentrification of the neighborhood. It was this part was so important to the history of us as a community and hip hop that they literally had to knock the handball wall down.
Yeah.
Because it just had murals since
Because if they leave the wall up, the wall is going to say it's going to say
it's just the history.
Yeah, it's the history.
It's the severing. It's like severing veins in our community, culture. So that's how powerful we was as kids.
I just got a new coat still. Okay. Got a little brand new feel. Not so fast, switchblade, cut your car with. I'm on top, self-made, I'm the real deal. Switchblade, 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 switchblade.
Bro, but even the system went from Koch all the way through to Giuliani had to literally try everything possible to cut that history.
Because hip hop was the scary thing, Yeah. No, hip hop itself was a movement, but
scary to them.
To them, yeah, it was scary to them. These kids are wilding out. They violent,
united,
they're dirty in the city.
They united.
Yeah, they dirty in the city. Meanwhile, we're making beautiful art.
Meanwhile, what we created changed the entire world. I said that recently. Is like it's crazy to think back, and you it's like looking at us as a few that actually there's not too many of us actually. If you think about the numbers of kids that were around that actually made it between the crack epidemic, through the poverty first and everything that comes with that, but the crack epidemic to the violence that happened right after following, where we had, I think New York was having close to 3,000 murders a year. People were just being eliminated, and then it continues. So even today with the youth killing themselves. So even with that, like us, we like walking miracles to be here and have still a sense of same mind.
George continues to propel and inspire others with his amazing and timeless art, traveling abroad and showcasing his one-of-a-kind work in galleries and museums. George has collaborated with such designers as Rachel Roy for special collections, featuring his vibrant artwork. The name Sen1 is still a focal point on murals in New York City.
thing on that is that when you travel the world, the entire world is dancing to our music, to our tune. This is good right here because this is more the stage for Rocksteady reunions.
Oh, this is where they have them?
All the time.
Yeah,
And then the court, the wall was right here.
Yeah.
The handball court was right here. And then there was another.
You know the story I always like to tell, right? When because we went like since we were at Joan of Arc, right? We were those kind of kids that didn't like having breakfast. We didn't have lunch in the cafeteria. Lunch for us was going to the pizza shop. What was the pizza shop on Broadway?
Yeah, the one on
Broadway. I remember that time we went to the pizza shop, and it was me, you, Polk, right?
Yeah.
And was it Epic? Epic was there. What I got distracted by? I got distracted by something. When I turned back around, these guys were all gone, and I'm
the
like,
hatch
on 91st Street.
91st.
Yeah,
Right in front of Twin Dogs.
Yeah. And then y'all like, come on, hurry up, come on. And I'm like, come on, where? And it's like the hatch. So I went down, and that's what I discovered. You guys already knew it. The Ghost Station on 91st Street and bro. You know, like when I say I'm a b-boy for life, you know, it's like I'm not breakdancing like I used to. That's not what I mean. It's a lifestyle.
It's the mentality.
It's a mentality.
Philosophy.
Yeah, it's a walk. You know, Joan of Arc was that thing that introduced us. You know, Normski.
It brought kids all the way from the Heights, all the way from from Amsterdam projects. It was like this type of school. So in our neighborhood, everything was gang territory. All this was gang territory. So literally, I sometimes couldn't walk this way. Like if I was with Polk, I could go to Douglas Projects. But if I wasn't, then I might get confrontation. Because I'm from south of 96th Street. 96th Street was like the border. He could pretty much go places because he's further up. And
so we didn't stay in one community, you know, like I've been in Washington Heights, I don't know how long, just as long as I've been in the Upper West Side.
41st
Hamilton. Take one, you know, Dave Martinez was up there too. Yep. You know, but that's what solidified our relationship.
We brothers for life.
Yes, right. We want to divide it.
Yeah, but you clicked with whoever you survived with, and that was your family to survive.
Yeah.
You know, you come out of a gang that's mixed. You don't got time to say, "Oh, you Colombian, you Mexican," and the gang I'm in was in. Everybody, you know that. We was all mixed like all that. Mixed, yeah. But you don't have the luxury to say that. You can survive.
And that's the beautiful thing about it because we're growing up, like we were so close and we were so tight because this thing bonded us. It wasn't like race or, you know, like, you know, Frosty Freeze, right? He came from.
And he used to live right across the street from me.
He came from the Bronx, you know, Kippy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us, we didn't even know we were Dominicans or we didn't know we were Puerto Rican. Like we probably learned that later on.
Later. We would go to Puerto Rican Day Parade like if it was just us, because it was. The beautiful thing about hip hop is like it's one of the only movements that actually bypasses all that because it's based on skills, even gender. If you could get down,
that's right.
It doesn't matter. If you're a DJ that can scratch, it doesn't, and you can see it online. If you could get down on the floor and break dance, you bypass that.
Daisy Castro was the first, you know, hip hop, you know, breakdance girl. You know what I'm saying?
You could get down on the wall graffiti, and your skills are. It doesn't matter if you're white. It doesn't matter if you're Asian. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's based on skills.
I was telling.
So that's.
I was telling them how Blondie had the first. You know, hip hop,
and she was accepted.
She was accepted
because that's what it is. It only didn't accept people that were fake.
You can't be a toy.
Nah, you can't be fake. It was a closed community. You had to bring a skill level. That's why we had to practice in order to be accepted. It wasn't like you got to pass. None of us got passes. If we was hip hop back then, it's because we earned to be hip hop. So violent and so.
On the next episode of 50 Years and Counting, the legacy of hip hop culture.
I had no idea that this was going to go as long as it did. What you have to do is boycott, you know, big brands.
Congratulations on the success and keeping hip hop alive. And you actually made our list #1 for one of the highest.
Thank you.